A new open-source AI agent called Hermes just overtook OpenClaw at the top of OpenRouter's global rankings by building a completely different architecture, one that gets smarter every time it completes a task. Anthropic's Mythos just cracked Apple's macOS security, the most hardened desktop operating system in the world, using techniques that didn't exist before AI. And Google and SpaceX are in talks to put data centers in orbit, not as a science experiment, but as a serious answer to the fact that Earth is running out of room to build AI infrastructure. 3 stories. All of them are about AI infrastructure pushing past limits that seemed fixed. I'm Alex. This is the Read AI. OpenClaw was the most used open-source AI agent in the world. As of May 10th, it isn't anymore. Hermes agent, built by Gnos Research, just took the #1 position on OpenRouter's global daily agent rankings, generating 224 billion daily tokens versus OpenClaw's 186 billion. For context, OpenClaw has 370,000 GitHub stars and a 44,000 skill ecosystem built up over months. Hermes has 114,000 stars and launched in February. It reached #1 in roughly 3 months. The reason Hermes overtook OpenClaw isn't better marketing or a bigger team. It's a fundamentally different architectural philosophy. OpenClaw is built around Reach. A central WebSocket gateway connects over 50 messaging platforms: Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal, and more. The design optimizes for surface area, how many places the agent can operate simultaneously. Hermes is built around learning. Its core is a do, learn, improve execution loop. After completing a task, Hermes enters a reflective phase. It analyzes its own performance, identifies what worked, and autonomously generates reusable skill files for future use. Memory is stored across 3 layers: a persistent identity snapshot, a full-text searchable database of every past session, and procedural skill files that capture repeatable task logic. The longer you run Hermes, the more it knows about how you work. The next session starts with everything the previous sessions learned already baked in. This is the same principle Anthropic called dreaming when they announced it for Claude-managed agents last week. The convergence is not coincidental. It reflects a broader understanding that agents that accumulate learning across sessions compound in value in ways that stateless agents can't replicate. The release cadence tells the story. Since launching in February, Hermes has shipped a confirmed major release roughly every 2 weeks. The latest, version 0.13.0 Tenacity, released May 7th, added a multi-agent Kanban board with zombie detection and hallucination recovery, a goal-locking command that keeps the agent focused across multiple turns, and Google Chat as its 20th supported messaging platform. Across 864 commits and 588 merged pull requests contributed by 295 developers. The security comparison between the 2 frameworks is also notable. OpenClaw faced 9 CVEs in 4 days in March, one scoring 9.9 out of 10 on the security severity scale. A security audit of OpenClaw's skill marketplace found over 340 malicious entries. Hermes has fewer CVEs by virtue of its shorter lifespan, but its security record is cleaner, and its defaults are tighter. The Tenacity release closed 8 critical security issues, including enabling data redaction by default and restricting unauthorized platform access. The broader signal from this leaderboard shift is about what developers are actually choosing when they build on open-source agents. OpenClaw offers breadth today: 44,000 community skills, 50 platforms, battle-tested infrastructure. Hermes offers depth over time: fewer platforms, fewer community skills, but a system that gets meaningfully better the longer you run it. The fact that Hermes reached #1 on daily usage despite having less than a third of OpenClaw's GitHub stars suggests the developer community is increasingly betting on the compounding value of an agent that learns over the immediate utility of an agent that's everywhere. Apple has spent half a decade building what it calls memory integrity enforcement, a security architecture the company describes as the culmination of an unprecedented design and engineering effort. In September 2025, Apple said MIE represented the state-of-the-art in desktop security. Last month, Mythos helped break it in 5 days. Here's exactly what happened. A Palo Alto security research firm called Caliph was one of the organizations with access to an early version of Anthropic's Mythos through Project Glasswing, the controlled initiative that gives select companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and NVIDIA access to Mythos specifically to find vulnerabilities in their own systems. Caliph's team used Mythos to write code that chains together two separate macOS bugs. Neither bug alone is sufficient to compromise a system, but linked together, combined with a handful of other techniques, the chain corrupts the Mac's memory and gains access to parts of the device that should be completely inaccessible. That's a privilege escalation exploit, and if combined with other attack vectors, it could give a hacker full control of the computer. The researchers were so excited by what they'd found, they drove from Palo Alto to Apple's Cupertino headquarters in person on Tuesday to hand over a 55-page report. With Claude, building the code that exploited the two macOS bugs took 5 days. The CEO of Caliph was direct about the human element. The attack couldn't have been pulled off by Mythos alone and leveraged the very human cybersecurity expertise of some of Caliph's hackers. That caveat matters. Mythos isn't fully autonomous on zero-day discovery yet. It still needs skilled human researchers working alongside it. But the key shift is speed and scale. Earlier this year, Anthropic's AI found over 100 high-severity vulnerabilities in the Firefox browser over a 2-week period. That is how many the rest of the world typically finds in 2 months. The macOS exploit is the most dramatic demonstration yet of what that capability looks like in practice. Apple confirmed it's reviewing Caliph's report. A spokesperson said security is their top priority. The bugs will likely be patched quickly. Caliph plans to release full technical details once Apple addresses the underlying issues. But the broader signal isn't about this specific exploit. It's about what cybersecurity experts are now calling Bug-mageddon, an unprecedented rash of security vulnerability discoveries that could overwhelm corporate technology departments responsible for patching them and represent an unprecedented cybersecurity risk. Anthropic designed Project Glasswing specifically to stay ahead of this curve, giving the companies who build critical software access to Mythos so they can find and patch vulnerabilities before attackers find them with equivalent tools. Apple is a Project Glasswing partner. The fact that Mythos found a macOS vulnerability through that partnership is the system working as intended. But the White House blocking further expansion of Mythos access, which we covered last week, looks different in this context. Every organization that doesn't have Mythos access is playing defense without the same tools attackers will eventually have. That asymmetry is the problem Glasswing was designed to close. And the debate about who gets access is now a debate about who gets to be secure.
Google and SpaceX are in talks to launch orbital data centers into space. The Wall Street Journal broke the story this week, and the strategic logic behind it is less about ambition than about constraint. Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet have collectively signaled roughly $725 billion in capital expenditure for 2026, almost entirely for data centers, custom chips, and GPUs. That's a 75% increase over last year, and the infrastructure to support that spending is running into hard limits. Power grids in Northern Virginia, the Nordics, and Singapore are at capacity. Water supplies are strained. Land use conflicts are multiplying. Permitting timelines stretch years. Orbital data centers sidestep most of those constraints simultaneously. Unlimited solar power with no grid dependency, natural cooling in the vacuum of space with no water required, no land use conflicts, no local opposition. The engineering trade-offs are real: radiation hardening, different cooling dynamics, launch costs. But the case for orbital compute gets stronger every time a terrestrial data center project stalls. Google's project has a name: Project Suncatcher. The goal is to network solar-powered satellites equipped with Google's Tensor processing units into an orbital AI cloud. The company aims to launch 81 satellites spanning 1-kilometer radius to create an in-orbit compute cluster. Planet Labs is the satellite manufacturer. Prototype launches are targeted for 2027. SpaceX is gearing up for its $1.75 trillion IPO later this year, selling investors on the idea that data centers in space will be the cheapest place to put AI compute within the next few years. A confirmed Google partnership makes that pitch substantially more credible. This isn't just a Google SpaceX story. Last week, Anthropic agreed to use the full computing power of SpaceX's Colossus 1 facility in Memphis and expressed interest in working with SpaceX on orbital data centers in the future. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt acquired rocket company Relativity Space to pursue the same strategy. Axiom Space, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, and several others are exploring orbital compute. The concept is converging from multiple directions simultaneously. The detail worth noting in the geopolitical context, a partnership with Google would mark the second time Musk made peace with an AI rival he publicly criticized, Anthropic first, now Google. The SpaceX IPO timeline appears to be providing strong incentive for cooperation that the competitive AI dynamics alone did not produce. Amazon's cloud chief has publicly called orbital data centers impractical at current costs. That skepticism is legitimate, the engineering challenges are significant, and the per-unit cost of compute in orbit is currently much higher than on the ground. But the trajectory matters more than the current snapshot. Launch costs have dropped dramatically over the past decade. Solar power in orbit is abundant and free. The cooling advantage compounds at scale, and every constraint on terrestrial data center expansion makes the relative cost of orbital infrastructure look better. Google is hedging appropriately, talking to multiple launch providers, targeting prototypes first, building towards 81 satellites, not 810. The IPO timing makes SpaceX the natural first conversation, but the direction of the investment is clear. The next frontier for AI infrastructure isn't a new county in Virginia, it's 400 kilometers up. 3 stories today, all about the same underlying dynamic. The infrastructure supporting AI is being pushed past limits that seemed permanent. Mythos cracked Apple's most hardened security architecture in 5 days, not because any single bug was obvious, but because AI can chain together attack vectors at a speed and scale that human researchers can't match. The patch cycle built around human timelines doesn't hold anymore. Hermes overtook OpenClaw by building an agent that compounds in value across sessions rather than maximizing surface area. The developer community is voting with their compute for depth over breadth. And Google is in talks with SpaceX to put AI compute in orbit because the terrestrial data center race is hitting hard physical limits, power, water, land, and permitting that orbital compute avoids entirely. The infrastructure underneath AI is being rebuilt in real time. The security model, the agent architecture, the physical compute layer, all 3 are in active transition right now. Subscribe to the Read AI for just the stories that actually matter. Drop a comment. Which of these 3 changes the most about how AI develops? Mythos accelerating the patch cycle crisis? Hermes proving that self-improving agents are winning? Or Google and SpaceX moving AI compute to orbit? I want to know. Share this with someone building on AI infrastructure right now. I'm Alex. I'll catch you in the next one.